Hi, welcome to NFW. My name is Jenna Durand. Um, Today, I would like to talk to you about sisterhood. I write romance books, I write contemporary fantasy and paranormal romance, and today I just wanted to talk about sisterhood. I am one of four girls. I have an older sister and two younger sisters, and I have different relationships with all of them. I'm closest to my older sister. I'm really close to my first youngest sister, and then my third youngest sister. We're too far apart in age to really have like the greatest relationship. But I do like to explore sisterhood in a lot of my books. It's something that I've always really tried to manage because girls are just different. I have a little brother and he is so much easier to get along with. It's very funny because people say that we're basically the same. um, Basically he's about 12 years younger than me, and I grew up kind of raising him. So like I taught him how to read. We watched the same TV shows. Even now I kind of try and watch the same TV shows as him so that we'll have something to talk about. um, and I'm always trying to understand the relationship that I have with my sisters because, to be honest, when we were younger, we did not get along. Me and my older sister would fight all the time. Me and my younger sister would fight all the time. It was always just like butting heads. And now that we're older, we've definitely developed the type of relationship where we can talk to each other. And even though we don't always agree and we can't always share the same space, it's nice to be able to have a conversation with the person that grew up with you, essentially, because you guys have the same memories, you have the same topics of conversations to go over. Even though you have different opinions about certain topics, it's nice to just come together and be able to talk. um, when I'm writing, I try to weave that into my series. Sometimes I write as if the main character is an only child, but she always has a friend that's considered like a sister to her. She always has someone who can be her confidant. And that's because for me, life isn't complete without someone to share your life with. There should be someone in your life, someone who you love so much that the idea that they're not even there, and no matter how much you fight with that person, how much you disagree, how crazy they drive you, you still connect with them on a certain level. Um, and so when I'm writing, I weave that into my story. One of the ones, well, so I have a series called Secrets, Lies, and Betrayal. It's a paranormal series. It's one of five books right now. I have the sixth book coming out in November. And one of the things that you'll learn throughout the series is the importance of female friendship and the connection that people have with each other in terms of that. But you'll also see in my book, Cold Sun Obsession, which is the fifth book in the series, the strength and bond of sisterhood. So you have Talia and her sister Soleil. And in that book, you basically get to see them supporting each other, working through issues that they didn't even know that they had. You see how great the bond of sisterhood could be. And the book is actually a two-parter, even though they're really in conjunction with each other, because you have Cold Sun Obsession, but you also have Witch's Reflection. So Cold Sun Obsession is written in from the POV of Talia and her husband Brian, and then Witch's Reflection is written in the POV of Saleya. And so you get to see the same storyline played out from different perspectives and really get a complete picture, even though you could read one book and not read the other and still understand the overall storyline. Um, and it's just something that I've loved to like. I love that series. I love the way that their sisterhood is exhibited and just the trust that's involved in that. Because I love my sisters completely. I have different opinions about the things that they do, and like we all have like guidelines as to how we deal with them. But at the end of the day, like I couldn't imagine not having them, if that makes any sense. It's very much the type of relationship where you sit there and you're like, you drive me absolutely crazy, like absolutely crazy. I kind of wish you would lose my number and never find it again. But then you talk to them and you have like a good conversation and you're like, I don't think I could have this with anyone else. I don't think I could have this conversation with anyone else. I don't think I could have this connection with anyone else. And so whenever I'm writing a story, there's always that friend or that sister that just can be your complete opposite. Take, for instance, my book, Engaged for Christmas. In Engaged for Christmas, you have a character who had her entire world like split apart. She lost her job, she lost her fiance, and she just decided to take a break from it all and go away and find herself. She really wanted to explore who she was without the perfect relationship, without the perfect job. And so she moves to this small town and she rents this townhouse. And throughout the book, you learn as she's learning how to accept herself and find herself and even find a new relationship, one that's so different from the one that she was in before. Because the one that she was in before was perfect in the sense of how it looked from the outside, but then when you're inside of it, you realize that as perfect as it looks in pictures and as perfect as it presents itself to others, it was not the perfect relationship for her. And while you're reading the book, you also get introduced to her older sister who is married with children and just has a very definitive idea of what her sister's future should look like. She has a definitive idea as to what her sister should be doing. Because she's like, okay, you lost your job, but you can find another job. You can, like, you don't have to move to the middle of nowhere, essentially, is what her sister says. And so it's interesting because you see them arguing with each other. You see them kind of like doing this whole back and forth. But the thing that rings through true throughout the book is that they love each other. And even when they're fighting, they know that the underlying premise of that fight is they love each other and want each other to do well. Um, and I think that's something that's very important to say. I know not all sisters are like that, and I realize that, you know, every relationship is different. But for me, because I can tell you right now, me and my younger sisters, we butt heads all the time. And me and my older sister definitely butt heads. There was a time where I remember we were leaving our house to go somewhere. And at the time, I didn't have a license. She had a license. And I don't remember what we were fighting about, to be honest. I don't know if I said something or if she said something, but we were fighting. And she literally stopped the car and kicked me out. We were only like 3 blocks away from my house, but like till this day, I still bring it up. I still tell her, I'm like, you threw me out of your car. Um, but we still talk. We still text each other. She still makes fun of me. I still make fun of her. We fight and then we get over it. And that's just who we are. Because at this point in my life, I'm really learning that I just need to accept people for who they are. I can't really walk in with expectations of people because usually I end up disappointed. And I don't really want to function that way. It's not something that I really want to have inside of me. The only expectation I want to have is the expectation I have on myself and what I want to succeed in and what I want to do. I don't really want to live my life hoping that others fulfill any part of it, if that makes any sense. And so it's very funny when I'm writing and I'm kind of like doing the whole back and forth. Um, I realized that I replicate my own relationship with my sisters in my writing a lot. Just because it's what I know. It's how I know how to interact with my sisters. Who else in your world is going to know you as well as your sister? Who else is going to, in your world, is going to know, you know, the fact that your mom used to dress you up to match the holidays, that you had dresses with turkeys on them during Thanksgiving, and like you had to wear the ugly sweaters during Christmas. Like, who else knows that your mother one year bought you like 5 Mary Kate and Ashley books for Christmas? Um, Other than your sister, other than the person that was there when it was happening. And so whenever I'm writing, I tend to include that in my stories. I tend to make that a thing because I love that relationship. I love that interaction and I want it reflected in everything. Um, whenever I think about character development, I always think about what makes a complete person. So even when I write a story about a woman being an only child, for some reason, I don't think you can be a complete person without a bond, a familial bond, even if it's not one born out of blood, just but born out of relationship, has to be there. Because who can really function in a world completely alone? At least I can't. I don't know how I would function without some type of connection to someone. Um, and it's a running theme throughout my books. There's always a connection to someone. There's always someone who knows you so well that they can tell when you're about to sneeze before you're even aware that you're about to sneeze. There's always someone who knows you well enough to know that when you're spinning out of control, they just need to let you spin, or they need to step in front of the spin and like stop you. um, it's just it's what I know. I say that all the time. I write what I know. I write my reality, primarily because that's the only reality that I know. Um, Whenever I'm having a conversation with someone or I'm exploring a new topic for one of my books, I always want to get their opinion. I want to hear what they have to say because it can be completely different than what I was even thinking in my mind. If you like the content, please like and subscribe and share among your friends.